The Lives of the Saints by Father Alban Butler, February 18th, St. Colman of Lindisfarne. St. Colmanus, 3rd Bishop of Lindisfarne, equaled St. Aidan and St. Fernandes in piety and zeal. He was a native of Trelanda, like his two predecessors, and had been a monk of the convent of St. Columbanus on the island of Iona. His episcopate lasted only 3 years, but this was sufficient for him to distinguish himself at the Synod of Whitby. For many years, there was a clash between the usages and customs of the Catholics of the Celtic tradition and those of the Roman tradition. The conflict came to a head when King Oswiu of Northumbria discovered that on the day on which he and his subjects celebrated Easter, his wife and his wife's chaplain, who were originally from Kent, commemorated Palm Sunday. The question of the date of Easter was the main cause of the quarrel. King Oswiu summoned a council at Whitby from 663 to 664 to settle the question definitively. St. Wilfrid and St. Agilbert, Bishop of the Franks, defended the Roman point of view, while St. Colmanus upheld the position of the Scots. The latter insisted on the example of his predecessors and of St. Columbanus himself, alleging that St. John the Evangelist had established that practice in Asia. But, as Alban Butler notes with some malice, the saint would have had great difficulty in proving the latter assertion. St. Agilbert, who was not fluent in English, asked St. Wilfrid to vouch for him. The latter remarked that St. Colmanus and his followers would commit a grave fault if they refused to follow the instructions of the Holy See, and alleged that practically the whole Church adhered to the Roman custom. Only this people, the Irish, with their Pictish and British allies who inhabit 2 remote islands in the west, are at variance with the rest of the Church, and not even by complete unanimity. This is how Bede conveys to us the somewhat offensive words of St. Wilfrid. The saint concluded his violent speech by quoting Christ's words to Simon. "You are Peter." The king asked St. Colmanus if it was true that Christ had spoken those words. "It is true," St. Colmanus replied. The king replied, "Did Christ give such a power to your famous St. Colmanus?" "No," replied Colmanus. The king asked, "Do you all agree in acknowledging that Christ said those words to St. Peter, and that he entrusted to him the keys of the kingdom of heaven?" "Yes," replied the assembly. "Then," concluded the king, "I declare that I do not wish to oppose the keeper of the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and that I will obey his orders in everything possible, so that he will not close the gates of the kingdom to me." The assembly approved the king's resolution. St. Colmanus preferred to renounce the government of his see rather than accept such a decision. Together with the Irish monks of Lindisfarne and 30 Englishmen, he withdrew first to the Isle of Iona and later to Ireland, where he founded a monastery on the island of Inishbofin, off the coast of Connaught. There he was able to continue to observe the Scottish tradition, since the authorities of Rome did not want to demand obedience at all cost on a point that did not include any doctrinal question. On the other hand, they were certain that time would gradually impose the practice of the universal church, as indeed it did. But the difficulties of St. Colmanus were not over, because the English monks did not get along with the Irish and complained that the latter forced them to carry out the heaviest work of the harvest and then wanted to share the fruits with them. The saint decided to found a new monastery in Mayo, where he transferred the English monks. St. Colmanus was the abbot of the 2 monasteries until his death. St. Bede heartily disliked the strange customs of the Celts. However, he did not close his eyes to the merits of St. Colmanus and his monks, and wrote a generous praise of them. Those holy masters were occupied with the service of God, not of the world, and thought more of the nourishment of their souls than of that of their bodies. They received kindly all the priests and monks who came to visit them. The dioceses of Argyll and the Isles celebrate the feast of St. Colmanus.